I've had to ask myself, what if nothing ever changes? I was once in a relationship with a woman who I loved deeply, but she had a bad habit of disappearing for days at a time without calling, no text message, no nothing, just gone. Like, just, I don't know where she is. And we were married. So it's not just like it was a girl. It was like my wife. I would come home from work, wouldn't know where she was for like 2, 3 days. That's sad. I don't really want to put that out there, but I had that experience, right? And I would try to talk to her and ask her, like, why are you making these decisions? Yada, yada, yada. And I got to a point where I had to ask myself, what if this never changes? What if this is just how it's going to be throughout our relationship? I'm going to be like 60 years old and I'm gonna be like, where is she? I was asking myself these kinds of questions. And at one point, I told myself, well, even if nothing ever changes with her, I can, make changes within myself. And then there was some kind of precipitating event. I'm not going to get into it, where I told her I can't participate in this way anymore. If you continue to make these choices, I have to extract myself from the relationship for both of us. And so when I said that, she just did the same thing as she had been doing even longer. And so I ended up saying, okay, well, I have to extract myself. Let's just say it like that, until we can make some changes, which we never made, and we broke up. But I had to face that question. What if nothing ever changes? And when I look at America and the situation that we're in right now, I had to if I look at America now and I think about what Dr. King was trying to work toward, and I look at the pullback and the things that they're trying to get rid of, there's a net effect of nothing has ever changed. So what does that mean for me spiritually? Do I give up? Do I stop trying to be the person that I want to be because I can't change the world around me? No, because this is an inner game when it comes down to it. And when you look at it that way, the world changing and becoming a better place should not be the like leading factor on why you do what you do and how you show up in the world. If a person treats you horribly, that shouldn't be the factor, the like leading factor in how you show up. Maybe you have to distance yourself like I had to do in that relationship, but you still got to try to show up as the person that you choose to be. When you go to the gym, the weights don't get lighter just because you want them to be lighter so you can do more reps. You either got to do lighter weights to do more reps, but if you're lifting a heavy weight, that heavy weight is going to stay heavy and it's going to feel heavier the more work you do. But then with that resistance, you get stronger, 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 right? That's how it works. Well, what if lifting the heavy thoughts of this world, lifting the injustices and the pain and all the things that we deal with in this world, what if that's like a gym for your spirit? And maybe it may never change, but your soul changes, you change, you become a person that has more compassion or whatever the case may be. Like one of the things my oldest daughter asked me about the situation with my brother Marcus dying. I have been slowly going through the grief, which is not my normal way of doing things. Normally I would be like, suck it up, do some stupid man thing and like go like not let myself cry in front of people, whatever, and like work it out and then come back out. And I might let one tear shed or something like that. But I've been bawling because it's my little brother, so I've been bawling and my kids been like, whoa, I never seen you like this. And I said, you know what, man, I just got to fall apart. That's what I got to do. And then my daughter asked me like that, do you think you feel more empathy now for other people who have a lot of grief? And I said, yeah, I do feel like I have developed more empathy by going through this pain. Hi, Marianne. Hi, Maury. So that is a workout for me. And I can't change Marcus being dead. That's never going to change. He's going to be dead for the rest of my life. And I have to deal with that and grow through that and work through that. So that's never going to change, but I can still change. I can still learn to work with it. I can still grow in my spirit. I can still get more empathy and more compassion for people. I can understand him better, interestingly, through the grief of him not being here. I understand him more now because he always had a low level of grief, like for decades. And I used to not understand why that low level of grief was always there. But now, as I'm walking with my own grief, and I'm like, dang, if he felt this kind of grief, because he had a cousin that got killed in front of him, and he carried that for a long time, and he had other abandonment issues. Not to just, I'm not trying to put his business out there, but I'm just saying he did. And so he carried that all the time. And I used to think like he could let that go. But now that I'm carrying the grief of him being gone, I'm seeing that it's hard to let go. And so in seeing how hard it is to let go, I understand how he carried it most of his life and how a lot of us are carrying grief throughout our lives. Does that change? The circumstances, not at all, but my heart has changed. And so my petition to you, those of you who are here now and those of you who'll see this later, is don't demand that the world be different. Don't demand that people be different so that you be different. Be the person that you want to be, just like how Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. That was some potent and powerful wisdom. Be the change you want to see in the world. I know from the teachings of Dr. King, who was also inspired by Gandhi, that he said, like, darkness can't drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate can't drive out hate. Only love can do that. So even in the situations that I'm feeling, some of the pain that I'm feeling right now, I have to keep coming back to the light, and I have to keep coming back to the love, and it has to get bigger, not smaller. Like if I contract because of the things that I'm feeling, I am now diminishing both my own light in life and also in some way diminishing the light and life of my brother. And so by allowing, even though I can't change the circumstances, I change myself, I'm able to be more loving, more compassionate, more empathetic, and all of these things, even with the grief. And I can see more like how other people are walking with this pain. You know what I mean? And so what if more of us did that? Maybe if more of us changed ourselves and we just said, hey, the world is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. But I can be who I choose to be. I can be more loving and compassionate. Maybe by magic, the rest of the world will get more compassionate as well. And I'm saying this to you from a place of like deep pain, right? Because I ain't gonna lie, I was out like the second day after I knew my brother was dead. No, third day. I was out walking my dog and I felt this feeling come over me like I wanted somebody to say something to me so that I could get mad and let it out. But I really just needed to let it out. But I wanted somebody to be the impetus for it. I was hoping like a racist would come up and I could just go crazy on the racist and get all my feelings out. That's not cool for me or the racist, the imaginary racist. And I watched my thoughts and said, man, why am I sitting here wishing? Because I saw a pickup truck drive down the road, and like not too many months ago, I had people in a pickup truck call my daughter and I the N word. And I never got a chance to address them because they said it and drove off. And all this feelings started coming up inside of me. And I was just like, man, I hope some racist person says something to me right now while I'm feeling sad about my brother so I could take out my rage on him. That's not fair. I mean, if he's a real racist, if I was, this is all in my mind, though. You got to understand that my own imagination was taking me there because I was trying to figure out how to process and let out my pain. And then I said, you know what? I just need to freaking cry. I just need to cry and say, I don't know what to do and just fall apart. And so that was the thing I did. I fell apart. I cried. I got sad. And then once I got it out of me, I felt better until the next time, and then I could see more like how some people who are walking around carrying grief with them and all these other things are sometimes letting their grief out on other people. And I've been disciplining myself for literally decades to not take my emotions out on other people. And when people bring their emotions to me, I do this thing called Himalele that I learned from some native Hawaiians, which is like cleaning the junk that's inside of you, and you take in the negative stuff and then you breathe out like a clearer, more loving thing back into the earth. Because the native Hawaiians, they believe that like the Ha is like the spirit, and it's a lot more to it, but I've written about it and I might write about it again. But I practice Himalele and that I learned through these Christian Hawaiians. And I've been doing that for a really long time. And that's what I do. But I sometimes see that other people are just putting their crap all on each other. And I'm sometimes taking in other people's crap and releasing it and not, and it gets into my body sometimes. And sometimes I physically hurt trying not to let my stuff out on other people. And sometimes I'm like, shoot, man, I'm gonna just take my crap on people just like people take their crap out on me. But that's not the way, ultimately. And that's the thing that Dr. King taught. If you read his teachings, he was a very awakened being who understood the spiritual power of what he was trying to do. And then he lived into it and died for it. And obviously, like he said, like any person, I would want to live a long life. Longevity has its place. I would like to live a long life and have longevity, but I also know that I can't do it at the expense of the truth of my spirit and my soul, because that's my true life, right? And so being mindful of that when I engage this world that may never change, that it may keep just repeating itself, because we always talk about history repeating itself. Maybe it can't do anything else. But maybe this is a place where when a soul passes through the passage of this never changing world, that soul changes and becomes better. And then when they leave here, they hopefully leave better than what they came here. Who knows? I'm trying to figure it out myself. I don't know. But I do know that if I am waiting for the world to change for me to be the person that I can be, I'm going to be waiting for the rest of my life. And some of the grief that I feel for my brother is that there were changes he was trying to make in his life, that it took him a while to get to a place where he could make those changes. And as soon as he got to that place, like we were talking about last time I talked to him, he got killed. So he never even got to realize it in this material world. And that's sad. But then the gift that his death has given me is to remind myself that I also am a temporary person. I might not be here that long. I might not be here. I don't want to say this. I'll just say, I don't know how long I'll be here. And since I don't know, I have to continue to work on my soul while I'm here. I won't even put any other stuff out there. So my friends, if you get anything from what I'm saying today, don't make the changes that you make within yourself be contingent upon the world changing. We already know that even if those of you who are not down for let me see, Tiri said it's up to us to be a light, to be the change we want to see. Absolutely. Thank you, Tiri. Absolutely that. And there's a lot of things I'm seeing in this world that I wish they would stop. People getting killed, ICE doing what it's doing, uh, hate all over across the globe, and a very interesting person, to say the least, in the White House. All these things, but I can't change any of those things. I can only change myself and change how I show up. And hopefully that does something in the world. So thank you for being here. Thank you for spending time with me. I know you could be doing some other things. Hopefully this was valuable to you. And if you and other people in your community are trying to be the change they want to see, that are trying to create the world that they know is possible, they want to live from higher possibilities, then please share this. And also, if there's things that you want to do, I want to start like bringing out, creating courses. I've created a lot of courses in person, but I have never really done digital courses. Anything that's like really, like that takes people through stages, because I like being in person when I do that kind of stuff. But I'm starting to think about ways of creating online offerings that we can engage across that help us do this work, because more of us gonna have to do this. If not for the world, then for ourselves, so that we can have a different experience. I had before I let you go, this morning, I had this like wild, like awesome experience that I haven't had in some time, where I could just feel like my connection to like everything and everyone. And I felt like this, like really like just loving energy come over me. And it was just like, just being aware, not trying to control everything or anything like that, just witnessing it. And then, for our kids more. Yes, true. And I was witnessing this beauty. And then I started snapping into the like everyday mundane world. But I felt it for a second this morning. And I know that's something that we can feel in perpetuity if we practice it. And if we engage in other people who are practicing, we can create communities, containers, or islands of sanity, as some people call it, where we can reflect the infinite back to each other. Because here's the thing about all of us that we don't realize. All of us truly, truly are light beings, love beings, and infinite beings. And we just don't experience ourselves that way, because we get attached to the conditionalized expression of a temporary body. And we forget the reality of who we are. But when we pray, we meditate, we hang out in community that's mindful, we remember more of who we are. And that is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I just want to stay conscious as much as possible, or some people say stay woke. I want to stay as conscious as much as possible and spend time with other people who want to live from consciousness, because we got a lot of unconsciousness and anti-consciousness happening right now all around us. And only the light of our consciousness can illuminate these dark spaces. That's the only option we have. And so that's the invitation. I don't say this a lot on these videos because I don't know how people gonna feel about it, but I actually do love y'all. So I love y'all. Thank you for being here, whether it's now, whether it's later, and peace.